Peter Tsai, this crackdown on the former Politburo member and the head of the Domestic Security Service is a huge attack on what was formerly an elite that would never be touched by the government. First of all, how much money do they think that this guy had managed to amass during his time in the Chinese Communist Party?
There's various estimates. The one of the report we have seen so far is by Reuters, the reporter back in March. So his family associates and his relatives basically amassed something like $90 billion RMB, is probably about 15.5 billion Australian dollars, and including 300 apartments and villas in China.
Right, and so how would he actually go about amassing this kind of money? Where were his spheres of influence to get this?
Yes, this guy spent most of his adult career basically in the petroleum industry, one of his most lucrative areas in China, which is absolutely a state-owned monopoly. So he served as the chairman of China's largest oil company, actually the world's largest oil company by some measure, the China National Petroleum Corporation. So basically he owns all its assets, and according to some domestic report in China, he basically farmed out some of the oil field to his close associate and business associates. So they basically siphon off this very lucrative cash stream to their personal bank account.
Now, it was in fact his son's mother-in-law who became a huge tycoon owning pipelines, is that right?
Yes, and also his the corruption scandal also extended into Canada because National Petroleum Corporation, the place where he was the former chairman, actually bought assets in Canada. Surprise, surprise, his daughter-in-law is actually the general manager of the Canadian subsidiary of National Petroleum Corporation. So it's basically siphoned off the assets in Canada too, because once you move the money outside of China in kind of overseas merger and acquisition activity, it's much harder for the authority to track the money. So there's one way for him to acquire the assets. And he was also the provincial governor of the Sichuan province, a very kind of large, prosperous province in southeastern area of China. So over there, his son is involved in a lot of a business deal. One thing probably very close to Australia, close to at home, is basically Liu Han, the former chairman of Hanlong Group, and he bought a lot of mining assets in Australia, including the bid for the Sundance resource, which didn't go ahead. So yes, through his business association in Sichuan, so he got a lot of money as well through that particular channel.
Now, there's two schools of thoughts around why President Xi Jinping would create this, instigate this crackdown. One is he's trying to send a message to all of China that no one is immune from the law when it comes to corruption. The other is that he's just trying to cement his own power base by getting rid of someone who was formerly a potential rival.
Yeah, absolutely, because during the bid for the top leadership, and so Zhou Yongkang, the former head of security, basically supported another candidate, Bo Xilai, and we all know what happened to him. So he was basically charged for corruption and the murder of a British businessman. His wife murdered a British businessman, so he's basically behind the bars for the rest of his life. And Zhou Yongkang basically supported Xi Jinping's political rival. So it's, I think it's fair to say it's highly probable that Zhou Yongkang was basically being charged and being arrested for his political support of a rival. So you can never rule out this move is a part of his consolidation of power. But at the same time, it's a sign of very strong signal to the corrupt officials in China that even at the very highest political level, at the very top of the Chinese political pyramid, there's no exemption.
Now, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a Chinese corrupt official for a second. If I think there's going to be a crackdown on corruption, wouldn't I be shipping my money offshore, and wouldn't Australia be one of those destinations where I would try and hide it?
Absolutely, I can give you a very good example. Basically, the vice chairman of China's National Development and Reform Commission, which is one of the most powerful economic agencies in China, he was arrested. When he was arrested, they found a forged Australian passport, a ticket to Sydney, and also $2 million in Australian currency, and another $20 million in the bank account. plus a lot of gold and etc. So when he was arrested, it was clear he intended to fly to Australia.
And those are the people who are possibly distorting Sydney's property market and, you know, also looking into buying up Australian companies?
Yeah, well, one example. Another example is one of the son of a very senior Chinese politician, Zheng Qinghong, was a very significant power broker in China. So he bought a $33 million house in Sydney. So, and he also applied for, I think, to the local council to have the house demolished and build something else. I think that's, you know, when the story got out. So this Prince Lin bought a $33 million houses in Sydney. We don't know the full extent of how many there are, but surely there are a lot, because if you look at the high-end market, a lot of agents in Melbourne and Sydney actually focusing on this particular group of ultra-wealthy people. Some of them may be very legitimate business people, but others, you know, probably are corrupt officials.
Peter Sy, thanks very much.
Thanks, Jackson.